Hey, this is Jeff with The Building Boys. By trade, I'm a chiropractor, and I own other real estate ventures such as extended stay suites and long-term rentals. One day a week, I grow my passive income portfolio. In these videos, I will be working alongside my father building our next passive income stream. A senior citizen fourplex. Watch our videos and repeat the process for yourself so you can become financially free.
Hey, it's Jeff Ordinas with The Building Boys, and it is much cooler than it was last week. It feels amazing. It's like 62 degrees and we're in long sleeve shirts. We're gonna start right where we left off. We got about 30% more left of the exterior framing, basically the garage and garage doors and the last front big window. And then we'll start framing the interior. Later on, after we get the trusses hung, we're gonna actually step back and kind of let you see as to like why our duplex design is a great purchase. You know, everything was designed, took us about, 6 months to really design this to make it not look cheap or anything, but yet economically affordable as far as keeping trusses very simple, all of them the same dimensions, all the plumbing running under one wall. You can make all your subcontractors' time on site as minimal as possible. So stay tuned, keep watching. All right, so we haven't talked much today. You've been seeing us just getting walls framed up. We just finished the wall that divides the garage that we're standing in from the apartment, and we did the same over here. We did those so that we could then tie our garage door wall into that. So this will be the last structural weight-bearing wall. And we kind of wanted to mention too that all these walls so far, we've left the plate in where the doors are at, because it allows us to lift them and put them in place a lot easier. And for interior walls, we'll just cut those out and then use it kind of as a header. But over on this garage door one, we're not following our same rule because we'd be cutting out a bunch of lumber. So that's why we just use little pieces for the bottom, so we're not wasting 9 feet. So this board right here is actually going to be the top plate. We went and got 14 footers so that we only had one splice right here in the middle, so we don't have 3 cuts. This opening is actually 9 foot 3 inches for the garage, but we're going to put a cripple, which is 1.5 inches on each side, which then makes the garage door opening 9 foot. Everything's still 16 inches on center except for this one, correct? And that's just because we have the splice there. So everything's 16 inches on center, plus an added bonus, just so that we can connect these boards together. So this is the bottom plate. This is the top plate. Let's get to work. All right, so we've got this up. You probably saw us hang that up in the fast warp speed thing. So what we did was we bolted this down, all these pieces of wood down, the bottom plate. And then we nailed a stud up against here and again on the opposite side. And then we put the stud right in the middle that is not part of the 16-inch on center. This is just holding up the splice at 13.6 roughly. So we're able to then hang this 2x6, tack it from the top, and that's where we're at. And you probably saw us every now and then we have to dig out. You were probably wondering what we're doing with a little zipper tool, and these bolts are just kind of sometimes in the worst place, so we just have to cut that out just to make space for that bolt. So we're getting into the floor too. As you know, we have in-floor heat. We have 4.5 inches of concrete, so we want to be careful with the size of screw we use. So you have to remember we have 1.5 inch stud or plate. So what my dad realized that if we use this drill bit, that after you sink it all the way, it goes down to 4.5 inches. So that's including the plate. So we are at least 1 inch above the in-floor heat. So as long as we never go past right here, we should have no issues as far as poking our tubes. All right, so we have all the studs up for these garage doors. These garage doors are still 9 foot 3 inches because we do not have the cripple down to the bottom because we don't have the header up. So we'll get the header nailed up. We'll nail in from here, and then we'll put another board up here. We just didn't put this board here yet, flat, so that we could toenail the header in. Put the header in, put the cripple double plate over here, so there'll be actually 3 wide, and you'll see us get to work on that. Right, we're that much closer with the garage doors. So we cut these cripples 1/2 inch short. This way, when the elements come in, snow, rain, this board doesn't slowly just turn into gunk. It's always gonna stay nice and clean and not rain. So now, with these cripples on each side, This door opening is now 9 foot, not 9'3". Height is just a hair above 7 foot, but it's gonna be a 7-foot door. Now, before anyone questions, usually a garage has 9 or 10 foot ceilings. We are keeping 8 foot ceilings across this whole duplex. Once again, we go back to keeping it very simple. When we have other subcontractors like hanging trusses, since we don't have a telehandler, when they show up, they don't have to look at a plan or anything. All these trusses are the same dimensions. The only ones that are odd are the gables on the end. So there's just 4 trusses that are different than the rest, because it is just straight across. We're gonna have trusses going this way through the garage. That's why this is a load-bearing wall. And then the apartments, they're gonna be going this way. Okay? So, once again, 7-foot door. Height, 9 foot width. And a lower garage does typically make an issue with clearance for the garage door when it lifts. But we're using some special hardware that we have described in our building plans. So if you are ever interested in buying these plans, we have that all explained, you know, what kind of garage doors and what kind of hardware you need so that that garage door makes the clearance with no issues whatsoever. And then as you can see here, you know, we have the cripple, regular stud, and then doubled it. And we waited to nail this one on until we had the header in so that we could toenail in through this. Because if we put both of these on, we couldn't shoot in. So there's a method to the madness. All right, take. Okay, everybody, that's a wrap for the day. It was kind of a monotonous, kind of same thing we did all last week. The only change that we kind of stopped and broke down was the garage doors. Other than that, we were just finishing up, putting up the load-bearing walls. Thursday, we're gonna put the top plate all above, and that's gonna really tear everything down and keep it from being so wiggly and really firm it up. So we'll see you next time. Take care.